Enjoy the journey. You have the power to choose. When you find yourself in a dark place, plug into your source and choose to live.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pack Light Podcast with Travel Light Network and the Rewind Network. I'm Dee Wick, your host, and this podcast focuses on all things mental health recovery with discussions about navigating through the challenges of mental health, all while unpacking emotional baggage. Your presence here is deeply appreciated. Now, let's dive into our discussion. Welcome back to the Pack Light Podcast. We are back with Men and Mental Health Part 2. I hope you enjoyed and were able to watch the previous episode or the previous Part 1 of Episode 2. But now we want to dive into the perspective of that narrative as a parent. So we're still dealing with men and mental health. And in our last discussion, we talked about the narrative and the stigma. And then now we're going to pull all of that together and hear from these great men again about how that intertwines with being a parent. So we'll start with you, Demetrius.
So this is this is home. Being a father, I have twins. I have 7-year-old twins, one boy, one girl. So Demetrius number 2, aka Deuce, and then my baby girl Avery, who is just like my mom, which is the craziest thing in the world. Because I was trying to avoid her being like her, and she's everything like her. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It brings me joy every day. Mom has passed away, but I feel like I get to see her, glimpses of her every day through my daughter. And as a father, for me, in part 1, Rich brought up talking about generational wealth. I think we hit on a little bit. YaSeen, you talked about generational curses. For me as a father, that's been one of my missions. It's like, all right, what did I adopt that I could have got rid of? Like, what mistakes did I make along the way? And how can I breathe in and live into my kids to break some of those curses? So I think right now is the time too for me to hit on the national campaign I've been waiting to get on the podcast to talk about, and that's #CancelChitlins. So I don't know if anybody on right now. I'm on #CancelChitlins right now. Hear me out for a second. There's so many different things in the Black community that we do every day that we don't realize. It is straight from being slaves. Respect to our ancestors who were given the leftover parts of the pig. What was left over? They didn't get the ribs. They ain't get the pork chops. They got the intestines. And shout out to our ancestors for figuring out how to season them up, put some put some spices on it. Shout out. But here's why I'm trying to cancel chitlins. Because I'm on a mission to end all that stuff that was given to us as slaves, including the thing that we do as Black people and having that crab mentality where we don't even realize that it's natural. It's our instincts to pull each other down. We talked a little bit about that in part 1. We have this thing where we want to pull each other down. Well, where does that come from? Well, that's how Master kept control, right? How you control 100 athletic, big, strong Black men out in the field? You pit them against each other. You put a couple in the house, and you treat them good. You give others rewards. So we always have done this thing through mental health, right? Even with our mental health, we pull each other down. It's our instinct that was given to us, just like the chitlins, that we made the best out of it, right? We take that anger. Some of us take that anger and write music. Some of us take that anger and created the blues, created jazz music. We take that history and become phenomenal athletes. We flipped it. Shout out and respect to all of those things. But as a parent, I'm trying to be right up in front and look at and question, why do I do the things that I do? What, why am I asking my kid to do XYZ? How am I talking to them? Am I explaining things? Am I looking at the fact, yeah, I'm busy, but I'm making time to make sure I'm answering my kids' questions of why, or am I telling them like don't ask questions, which is all kind of things that have been given and passed down to us. So as a father, I'm so passionate and so in tune to everything that I do, and I want to be right up in front. I still make mistakes all the time. So it's no self-righteousness or anything that I'm better for doing it. But I think that's a part of this conversation around mental health, that I'm looking to have those conversations with my kids about their emotion. I'm not telling my son to suck it up. I'm asking my kids about what are other kids saying to you, and giving them the courage to not fall into those same traps and to do things because other kids are saying something or making fun of them, trying to give them the strength to be able to push back, because I see how society has been formed at this point in my life, how society has been formed, how the history of certain things have been passed down and spent and twisted, all kind of in the ploy to keep everyone where they're at. And so I'm looking to break those curses with my kids and having those authentic conversations, even at the age of 7. Where I live in a community, where I'm a clear minority as a black person. My kids go to school where they're sometimes, maybe the only black kids in the class, and really being able to have those conversations with my kids about stepping out on the leaf. And I'm already setting the groundwork for mental health and asking them questions daily about their emotions, what made them happy, what made them sad, what did they fear, and not making them feel bad about any of it, really trying to embrace it. And I hope that's something that we can do as a people, especially as black men, we can really start to do for our community, is to begin to try to break down some of those things that were given to us all the way back hundreds of years ago as ways to control us. So that's where it comes from, #CancelChitlins, but it's really a really bigger idea of, let's take the time to think about why we do things, because sometimes it comes from a really harmful and negative place.
I love it. #CancelChitlins. Yes, I love it. And not, like you said, not to take away from what, our parents did, because they did the best that they could with what they had to work with. However, I just want to give big ups to you and thank you for taking advantage of your time in this life to be what you didn't have. That was amazing. Rich, the same question applies to you with regards to the narrative and stigma and being a parent.
He murdered the subject. That was the best response ever. This is a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, right? And her research is 100% about everything you just talked about. Like, why parents, when you're in the bank and the white kids are running around playing, but the black kid is like at attention next to mom. The why. She really breaks it down. And that's important. When I think about the stigma of being a healthy man versus what America defines me as a man, more specifically as a black man, and shedding that, I look at, growing up, my dad wasn't around much. Okay, that's normal for young black men in Generation X. We have a great relationship now. I look at myself as a father, and I tried to fix that when my son was young. He's now 33. I tried to fix that by, teaching him everything I knew and exercising discipline. When he was wrong, if the dishes aren't washed right, do them over. If your bed's not made, do it over. But the stigma of being a aggressive disciplinary father triggered my mother, who watched her father beat the crap out of my uncles. So I'm trying to teach him discipline, and his grandmother is coddling him. Oh, your dad's mean. Oh, he's overboard, right? So there are some lessons that never connected. And that's no one's fault, right? I don't see that as my mother's fault. I don't see it as my fault. Was I too hard? Yeah, I definitely could have hugged him more. But when we talk about generational curses, like YaSeen said earlier, when we talk about generational curses and the fact that until somebody stands up and just cancels chitlins, which I love, right? Until somebody stands up and like recognizes these generational curses from slavery times, things that have just always been done in the family but serve no purpose whatsoever, then it'll continue. And without healthy and strong families, there is no community. You can't spell community without unity. It's the last 5 letters of the word. So, like, I look at my son, and he's a father now, and he's doing his best. He's doing his best. You know, he'll get to a point in his maturity where he comes to myself and my father for wisdom and advice. He doesn't right now. And why? Because the black man in America is taught, you good. Like, no, you're not good. It literally takes a nation to raise a child. Right? And I say nation and not village because my bachelor's degree is in African studies. We weren't a bunch of savages, right? We're the inventors of civilization itself. Africa is full of nations, right? So, like, it takes a nation to raise a child. As a kid, if I did something wrong, I could get smacked upside the head by anybody on the block. I bet you got homework. Get in the house. Yes, Mr. Graham. He was always the one that caught me as a kid, Mr. Graham. Like, so canceling chitlins is important. As fathers, like I said, you killed it. Like, yes, we have to be the masculine energy in the house, but can we be healthy masculine energy in the house? So these kids say, yo, you know what? Dad, I get hugs when I do my work, right? When my grades are good, right? Dad loves me. I get hugs when I'm bad after we debrief what I did wrong so I get the lesson. Because I'm here to tell you, behind whoopings don't work.
Canceled shitless hashtag. All of this is just amazing. I'm loving it. We're going to keep the ball rolling. YaSeen bringing up the year with dealing with the narrative and mental health and how that ties into your parenting style.
One of the things I wanted to do as a parent was not repeat the history of what was done to me. You know, but there was times where I got a spanking for everything. And it was like no conversations was had. I already knew I was getting a spanking. Like as soon as I got in trouble, as soon as mom got the word, it was on site. There's nothing I could do about it. There was no conversation before. There was no conversation afterwards. So it's like when those started to add up, you know, once again, I had to learn to adapt. Where it's like, okay, I love my mom, but there's no way that we can have a conversation on an even playing field. You know, I would have to go to my siblings and have those conversations with them. But it does something to your thinking where you can't have those type of conversations with your parents. No. And that messes with your mind. So for me, I have a 7-year-old son, a 6-year-old, a daughter, a little buttermilk, and I have a 13-year-old, a blended family wise. So like the girls with me, so easy for some reason. It's very easy. Cassidy has a lot of mom in her as well, especially with taking forever to get our food and talking. She hates being the last one at the table, but I already know where she get that from. Very sensitive about everything. Actually, that's mom. With my son, like, it's very funny because when I see him, I see me. And like it makes it kind of easier because it's like I know how to deal with him. I know what he's thinking. I know when he's lying. I know when he's not. Just earlier today, I had a conversation with him about, being responsible because I hate when he be leaving stuff over the floor. He want to come downstairs to play, but his room not clean. I'm like, yo, you clean your room first. And like the way I talk to him, like he my brother, like he my little bro, because I want to build that connection with him for where he feels very comfortable coming to me about anything, having those type of conversations, even though he pisses me off half the time, like boy be burning me sometimes, but we still have those conversations, and when the conversations is over, he could leave and feel a relief, feel that he learned something, and not feel no type of resentment. Cause, like it's times that he got a spanking, yeah. But he won't experience those types where, I'm not even explaining to him why I'm speaking. Like there was times that, like they heard I did something. I didn't even have a chance to explain why I did it or I didn't do it. Whatever the case may be, it was on sight from the rip. Like, dang, like we can't have a conversation about this first. Like, just want me to come in there and pull my pins down. Like, all right, bet. Cool. I see how this is. But, like my kids, man, I don't want them to have that mindset because I know when I was younger, how fast it took me to adapt and how fast it shattered my feelings, it shattered my heart, it shattered my thinking process or how people feel about me. Especially when they say, like they love me, like there was times where, man, I forget what I did and I forget my mom. And D was there. He was sitting there like in front of the TV and I did something and she was like, boy, I kill you in here. His face was as serious as a heart attack. And then I looked at him, D looked at me like I froze. Cause like that's my mom. Like my dad is already not in my life. I'm already dealing with fighting kids in school and not even telling nobody. And then the fact that when I was a little kid, like I had a huge stuttering problem. Like I had enough problems going on in my life. So like to come home to a place where you think it's peace at, and like for something silly that I did, like being threatened to kill me. Like, and my mom from North Philly. I was a cool, calm kid, very lovable, man. But like when situations happen in your life, like you start to change with the situations, and you become a person who you're not. So, like I try not to, like hold my kids super accountable for everything that they do because they don't know the better. Like they're still learning, And I have to realize that, like, it's times that I give them a whole lot of grace, a whole lot of patience, Like, there's going to be times where I'm like, all right, bro, now it's the problem. Like, but for the most part, man, it's like I spend my time trying to teach you, and I have those conversations and talk and not resort to violence every time they do something wrong. Because then I know how bad it's gonna mess up with their mind, especially when I see him or see me when I look inside of him. So I know like how he gonna react to certain things. I know how he gonna react to his punishments. I know how he gonna think. So I'm very careful with that, and then I see a lot of progress, man. Like as happy as he is, as a kid, or when he do something wrong, he could still leave and go on about his day, but with a smile on his face and still be happy and find something to do. And not just thinking to himself, like, yo, like my parents hate me or whatever the case may be. And thank God he has a mom who is very, 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 very loving, a woman of God, uh, ministers. And sometimes I get, like a little jealous of him, like yo, bro, like you got it good. Like you had no idea, like having both of your parents in your life, like in the same roof, like you had no idea how bad you got it good. And I explained to him how I grew up and things I went through and things I wish my dad was there for, graduations, birthdays and stuff like that. And that made him cry at a young age. So I know he's watching, he know how to process things. He has crazy feelings. So when I told him that and saw him break down, crying to give me a hug, I'm like, he might be my new therapist. I was sitting here inventing him. So just to have that relationship and that bond, man, like it's very important for your kids.
That's that. Thank you so much. I love that when you said that you give him grace because you know how he's going to respond because you see yourself in him. And I think that's amazing, to give him the grace that you didn't have at his age. So we're about to wrap it up. This was very, very filling for me. I am full on all of this rich information. And my prayer is that our audience will share with their sons, their fathers, their uncles, their grandfathers, your cousins. Get it to all of the men in your life and share this phenomenal information. So we're going to wrap it up. We're going to give each one of you a minute to 2 minutes with any closing remarks that you may have. And we can start with D.
I just encourage men to get out there and don't shy away from therapy. It does so many different things on a variety of levels. Let me just give you something really simple. We, as especially black men and black people, we're still developing our ability to use language. There's some people who are masterful at it, obviously, as black men, but as a people, language is crucial. You go to therapy, you learn how to speak differently from how your therapist communicates to you, how to use affirming words, how to be nuanced with pronouns and the we and the us and this happened to you. You're not this way. Those sort of words that you get in therapy is what we need to bring into the culture of being a man. Break down, rub some dirt on it, suck it up, to get rid of those sort of words because they are what create those stigmas. And words like, I'm sorry that happened to you. Those things really help to move the needle. And I just encourage all men, including myself, to make sure I schedule another appointment with my therapist. It's been a little bit to keep working on ourselves, to keep improving, keep better wherever you are at. Okay, just keep working to be better for yourself, for your community, for your nation, for your loved ones, and for everyone around you.
Something YaSeen said, I don't want anybody to miss. As men, we are programmed in American society to have this machismo, this toughness. But being tough is a function of ego. It's not a function of strength. It takes strength to lead your household in a new way that you've never seen. it gets easier by surrounding yourself with people who are also growth-minded, positive-minded, and working on being better themselves. Because if not, you're likely to fall into the trap of what? Fitting in, doing what the Joneses do. And I know the Joneses, they broke. They broke. They got the latest Nikes. It's a 40 in the fridge, but their children, when they die, may not have enough money to bury them with. So you need to redefine your paradigm for yourself. And therapy is, for me, the greatest tool in doing that.
Just want to leave a message out there for, any teens or kids that may be watching the podcast who came from the trenches, are living a double life. You go to church and then you're back in the streets. Because oftentimes you feel like you're by yourself. You feel like you're the only one. Not saying that you are thinking that other people don't go through things, but certain things that you go through and you have nobody right there by your side to walk, it makes you feel like you're alone. And it's impossible for your situation to change. One thing that I did, man, was never stop praying. Number one, I don't know, like a lot of people don't be having the faith or don't believe in church, whatever the case may be. That's all fine and dandy. As people who believe in God, who don't go to church, for multiple reasons, but still have a prayer life, man, because that was one of the same things that saved me. Being shot at multiple times, me shooting at somebody. Like, God just gave me a whole bunch of grace, man, because I felt like that lifestyle was for me because of what I was going through. I felt like, all right, God, this where you left me at? This is what it is. Like, I was sad that my brothers and my sisters had this type of lifestyle, and then I had to grow up in this. So I came to a point where I almost accepted it as my fate, but that's not the case, bro. Like, please go to therapy, find somebody to talk to about your situation, about your problems. You're not by yourself, because there's plenty more who's going through the same thing. And I encourage y'all, man, to seek therapy or find a mentor who handles on the right path and continue to grow, because I'm still not there yet. I have a long ways to go. I'm just learning to adapt to the real life, the real world, like schools, and I'm learning to budget, like in money, and then I'm married as a husband. It's a whole nother life outside of that, bro. I'm still learning. So I encourage y'all with therapy.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Kings. This brings us to the conclusion of our podcast. Thank you again. Thank you to our viewers for taking the time and sit with us today. Again, pass this on to all the men in your life. Thank you again. Have a wonderful night, and God bless. And remember to stay connected to the God within.
Thank you for listening. This concludes Men and Mental Health Episode 2. We hope you were inspired by the transparency of these great men as they poured out their hearts to us. Join us on our next episode's discussion, Mental Health and Faith, as we discuss integrating faith and mental health, coping strategies, and navigating crisis situations as believers. I'd like to ask you to do one thing before you go, and that is to give us a topic you'd like for us to cover by emailing us at patlight818@gmail.com, and the email will be in the credits and the descriptions. Until we meet again, and remember to lighten your load and stay connected to the God within.
Are you ready to stop dodging the IRS and finally take care of your back tax problem? If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, have unfiled tax returns, or are experiencing economic hardships, you could qualify for more aggressive resolution plans with the IRS. This could be your best chance to resolve your tax debt. Act now before it's too late. Call today to take the first step in putting this tax problem behind you.
Call 1-800-578-4356. Call now.